Renting is just throwing money out the window. You've heard it at Thanksgiving dinner. You've heard it from your coworkers. It's the ultimate financial insult. But in 2025, that advice is dangerously outdated. Here is the brutal reality. Mortgage rates have exploded from under 3% in 2021 to over 7% today. You now need an annual income of roughly $126,000 just to qualify for a median-priced home. You aren't just competing with other families anymore. You are fighting against hedge funds with unlimited cash. The American dream of ownership has mathematically mutated into a poverty trap. But what if the stigma is wrong? What if renting isn't failing, but actually the smartest hedge against a broken market? To understand how the math flipped so violently, we have to look at when the system actually worked. But be warned, the advice your parents gave you wasn't wrong back then, it's just lethal now. In the next section, we'll uncover the exact moment the economic rules changed and why following the old deal today is a guaranteed path to poverty. The stigma against renting didn't appear out of thin air. It was born in an era where the math actually made sense. For decades, buying a home was the automatic escalator to the middle class. You saved for a few years, you put down a deposit, and your mortgage payment was often cheaper than rent. It was a forced savings account that you could live in. That was the old deal. And because it worked so well for the previous generation, they assumed it would work for you. They view renting as a temporary failure because in their timeline it was. But you are playing a video game where the difficulty setting has been secretly maxed out. We are trying to apply 1990s logic to a 2025 reality. The fundamental metrics of the economy have ruptured. Consider this. The income required to purchase a typical home has doubled just since 2019. That is not a gradual inflation. That is a vertical wall. While wages have crawled, asset prices have sprinted. We are seeing a market distorted by a lack of supply and opportunistic investment. In some areas, nearly 30% of homes are being snapped up by investors specifically to rent them back to you. So when people tell you that you are throwing money away by renting, they are judging your financial decisions based on an economy that no longer exists. They are comparing their golden age memory to your survival mode reality. But acknowledging the difficulty is just the start. The real horror story isn't in the history books. It's in the math. Coming up next, we're going to expose the glitch. The specific set of numbers that real estate agents are terrified to show you because it proves the game is rigged. Let's stop listening to feelings and start looking at the spreadsheet, because in 2025, the numbers aren't just bad, they are screaming a warning. The glitch in the matrix is officially here. According to new research from Realtor.com, renting is now cheaper than buying in all 50 of the largest metro areas in the U.S. How much cheaper? On average, renters are saving a massive $900 every single month compared to buying a starter home. Let that sink in. That is nearly $11,000 a year in post-tax cash that homeowners are setting on fire just to say they own the deed. Here is the breakdown. As of July 2025, the median rent has actually cooled off, dropping 2.5% to around $1,012. Meanwhile, the median home price has refused to obey gravity, sitting at nearly $440,000. Financial advisor Kirk Reagan ran the numbers on a standard $430,000 home with a 6.75% interest rate. When you factor in the total cost of ownership, you are looking at writing a check for $2,150 a month. That is roughly $400 more expensive than renting the exact same quality of life. But wait, the buy advocates will scream, "But you're building equity." Are you? Or are you just servicing debt? If you buy today, even if your home value goes up by 4% every single year, which is optimistic, and you invest your spare cash at an 8% return, it will still take you more than 6 years just to break even against a renter. For the first half-decade, you aren't an investor. You are a debt servant. And that is just the sticker price. We haven't even talked about the silent killers of your wealth. Most people look at a Zillow estimate and think that's their monthly bill. That is a lie. A mortgage is the minimum you will pay. Rent is the maximum you will pay. When you sign that contract, you are signing up for the unholy trinity of unrecoverable costs. Property taxes, roughly $200 a month. Homeowners insurance, another $200 a month. HOA fees, anywhere from $200 to $300 a month depending on where you live. Add it all up, and the average monthly cost to own is now about 40% higher than renting. You aren't just paying a premium, you are paying a penalty, so purely mathematically, renting is currently the superior financial strategy. But if the math is so obvious, why do we still feel like failures when we sign a lease? Because the trap isn't just financial. We've covered the glitch, but now we need to talk about the invisible costs that are silently eating your wealth alive. What we're about to discuss in the next part will make you rethink everything you know about investment. If you look closer, the homeowner badge often comes with a hidden subscription fee that nobody talks about. We need to talk about the invisible costs that eat your wealth alive. First, let's talk about the bank. You think you're paying off your home? Think again. In the first few years of a mortgage, you are mostly just paying rent to the bank in the form of interest. According to Financial Jim, if you take out a $200,000 loan over 30 years, you aren't just paying back $200,000. You will likely pay around $103,000 in pure interest. That is more than 50% of the home's original value vanishing into thin air. When you factor that in, the real return on investment for many homeowners drops to a measly 1.3%, which is significantly lower than what you'd get just by parking your money in a basic index fund. Then there is the physical decay. Houses are not static assets, they are crumbling liabilities. You have to follow the 1% rule, saving at least 1% of your home's value every year just to keep it standing. Need a new roof? It's $10,000 every decade. Did the AC unit explode in the middle of July? If you rent, you make a phone call. If you own, you write a check. This brings us to the strategic advantage of renting: liquidity and agility. In a high-interest economy, cash is king. When you buy, you lock a massive chunk of your net worth into drywall and concrete. When you rent, you keep that capital liquid. Kirk Reagan notes that renting preserves your cash flow, allowing you to invest the difference, that $400 to $900 monthly savings, into assets that actually compound. Furthermore, you are buying freedom. In a volatile job market, being able to move for a promotion without selling a house is a superpower. Renting gives you the ability to pivot your career or life in 30 days, whereas selling a home can trap you in one spot for months or years. So, is this just bad luck, or is it a perfect crime? The answer might make you want to tear up your degree. In the final verdict, we are going to deliver the bitter truth about what you should do with your money right now to escape this financial prison. So here is the bitter truth we need to swallow. The shame you feel about renting? It's manufactured. It's a ghost story told by a generation who bought homes when income could actually cover the cost. But the rules of the game have changed. Since 2019, the income required to buy a home has effectively doubled. We are dealing with a market where 30% of inventory in some areas is hoarded by investors. Comparing your financial milestones to your parents' timeline isn't just unfair, it's mathematically impossible. Renting in 2025 isn't throwing money away, it is paying for a service, the right to live somewhere without the liability of a failing roof or a crashing market. It is a strategic retreat to preserve your capital until the battlefield favors you again. So, when should you buy? The math suggests you should only sign that deed if you plan to stay put for at least 6 to 7 years. Anything less, and the closing costs and interest will eat you alive. If you are drowning in student loans or credit card debt, renting is your lifeboat. Use that lower monthly payment to kill your bad debt first. Ultimately, the choice comes down to what you value more: control or freedom. If you want to paint the walls and plant a garden, buy. But if you value the freedom to move, the liquidity to invest, and the peace of mind that comes with a fixed monthly cost, then renting is the smarter play. Now I want to hear from you. Do you feel the social pressure to buy even when the math says wait? Or have you found peace in renting? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. If you want to know exactly how the banking system is designed to keep you in debt regardless of whether you rent or buy, you need to watch this video next.